The Republican National Convention challenged again by opponents to the event. Congressman Michael Waltz explains what the host committee is doing to adjust to the rise in coronavirus cases across Florida. And it was a curveball as school districts thought they had their plans made.
Many districts had chosen the route that we had chosen, and now all of us are having to react.
St. Johns County and others ready to pivot before the school year begins. Plus, more than a dozen races and almost 40 people to choose from.
This year especially, it's very important because we've got so many races and so many candidates.
One of those candidates running for Clay County Sheriff joins us this morning on This Week in Jacksonville. And thanks for being with us today. This week in Jacksonville, it included more cheers and more jeers about the Republican National Convention. A group of nearly 80 pastors sent a letter to city leaders pleading to reconsider hosting the RNC, primarily over the coronavirus pandemic and potential health threat. They also referenced the 60th anniversary of Axe Handle Saturday, one of the bloodiest days in city history when white attackers chased every black person they could from downtown. Now, the spike in COVID-19 cases in Duval County has led to a legal challenge aimed at stopping the Republican National Convention from coming to Jacksonville. Several downtown business owners and some people who live in the area, they filed a lawsuit against convention organizers, against the Trump campaign, and the company that manages ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. The group argues the convention is what the CDC classifies as a highest risk spreading event, including a lot of people traveling into the city and then gathering close together. The suit asks a judge to block the convention altogether, but if it is allowed to proceed, then the plaintiffs want attendance capped at 2,500 people. They also want requirements like masks, sanitizing routines, and contact tracing for attendees. The city's attorneys immediately said that they were reviewing that lawsuit. That same day, City Council President Tommy Hazouri posed some questions about who is financially responsible for the RNC. Hazouri sent a letter to the mayor's office asking about costs and masks. And among some of the questions in that letter, Hazouri asks for a breakdown of the total estimated cost to host the RNC and who will be covering the cost. He specifically wanted to know what the city's financial obligations are, if any. The council president also asking if the mandate for wearing masks will apply to participants attending the RNC. Well, I spoke with Jacksonville native Michael Waltz, a host committee member and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Waltz is still enthusiastic about the event, even with the challenges.
Well, I just talked to a number of folks from the committee last night. Obviously, it's a huge challenge logistically to do this in such a short amount of time. You add on, Corona and dealing with that in a safe and responsible way. They're busy. But they're up to the challenge. I'm excited about it. Everybody that I'm talking about in the North Florida business community is excited. In fact, we just talked to a transportation company over the weekend, and they were saying, hey, their PPP money was running out, and they were on the verge of laying everybody off again. They think if they can come to terms with the convention and get that contract in place, they're so excited they'll be able to keep their employees. So that kind of shot in the arm to our business community is a story that I think we're going to continue to tell.
Well, I know this week there was a kind of a vendor event, a showcase where vendors could come and say, hey, I'd like to be there. How important is that in order to get the businesses to invest and get out of it what they need to get out of it or to be productive at the RNC?
Well, for the hospitality industry, the transportation industry, the food, the catering, all of the things that go around an event this size, and we can debate whether it's going to be 50,000 people or 30,000. Heck, that's a lot more business than we had just a few months ago when this wasn't a reality. The other piece, Kent, that I think is important to get out is that they're working out the details as we speak, but there will be testing for all convention goers. And that is extremely significant. I mean, that's from the media to the delegates to the vendors coming in. Everybody will be tested every day. And I really think we can kind of, show the country, Jacksonville can really showcase and show the country how we can do this safely and responsibly, but still put, food and money on people's tables that need it. I mean, we cannot go back to just sticking our heads in the sand and shutting down the economy until the vaccine is fully in place. We have to be able to do both. We have to walk and chew gum at the same time. And I think this convention is going to showcase that.
Congressman, one of the things that we heard from the president this week, he did an interview where he said, hey, the numbers are rising in Jacksonville and Florida. we're going to be flexible about that. What does that mean from your perspective on the host committee?
Well, I think he's going to, rightly so, he's looking to the governor, looking to the mayor and local officials to have a convention, to talk about what he has done over the last 4 years and what he plans to do over the next, but do it safely and responsibly. And as this virus ebbs and flows, we're going to adjust. I think it also talks to the fact that all of the country isn't the same. All of Florida isn't the same. I just talked to a hospital yesterday in Daytona. They have a biological contamination unit with a capacity of 80. Right now, they're sitting on 15 people. So 25% filled, 75% availability. Yet if you look at the mainstream media, you would think the entire country is maxed out and people are dying in the streets. So I think we have to take a more nuanced look. North Florida is not South Florida. Indiana is not downtown New York, and be flexible and adjustable as we combat this virus.
There's been a couple of things that stood out recently. A group of physicians, almost 200 of them, signing a letter saying, please reconsider this. Almost 80 pastors this week, a letter to the administration in Jacksonville, please reconsider this. And sometimes their concerns get brushed off as, well, this is just out of fear. Isn't there a legitimate concern about whether or not people are?
Well, I think there's a concern about the virus. That's one of the reasons that we're putting testing in place. That will be unprecedented to test that many people every day, and that we're taking the necessary precautions. There will be more hand sanitizer than you can shake a stick at. There will be masks handed out. There'll be hand washing stations. But to say that no one can go outside, right, or no one can gather, I don't think is realistic. And I'll tell you, I'm talking to just as many people, hospitality industry, transportation industry, food service, and others, that are thankful and thrilled that the convention is coming. So I think to say that it's going to be controversial or people are going to have mixed opinions shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah. Maybe last thing here, Congressman, I know that there's a hope for a big economic impact. I think you just referenced it a moment ago. Even if it's not $100 million, still makes a difference, in your opinion, in Jacksonville, in Northeast Florida?
Oh, absolutely. 20 million, 25 million, 30 billion, that's certainly more than we had before this. I've said before, this is about North Florida's economy. I'll take the DNC convention too. If they want to come down, that's fine. This is about, what really frustrates me is a lot of people kind of pounding the table that we have to shut back down are the ones receiving government paychecks. And there are lots of people out there that are hurting, they're struggling. PPP was a Band-Aid, but we have to get to the point where people can get to work, but do so safely also with this virus. And tourism, conventions, things of that nature are a vital part of Florida's economy. I think, again, there's a way that we can safely do both, and that's what we're trying to do.
The Republican National Convention is scheduled for August 24th through the 27th at Veteran Memorial Arena in Jacksonville. All right, so stay with us. Schools got a surprise this week when the Commissioner of Education handed down a mandate. Open those buildings 5 days a week in the fall. How St. Johns County is responding next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Right now, this weekend, we've got lawyers and investigators standing by ready to help you with your accident case. Don't wait. Call Farah & Farah.
The moment has come to deal with the denial of the promise of this nation, made to so many. Because if it weren't clear before, it's clear now. This country wasn't built by Wall Street bankers and CEOs. It was built by the great American middle class. Healthcare workers, docs, nurses, delivery truck drivers, grocery store workers. We've come up with a new phrase for them. Essential workers. We need to do more than praise them. We need to pay them. As president, it's my commitment to all of you to lead on these issues and to listen. For that's what the presidency is. The duty to care for all of us. Not just those who vote for us, but all of us. This job is not about me. It's It's about you. It's about us. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Looking for fresh, informative health news? Go to BaptistJax.com and click on the Juice section. Test your health knowledge with our monthly quiz from Baptist Health. Go to the contest page on News4Jax.com and you could win a $25 gift card. The RNC in Jacksonville and News4Jax will be covering the important stories from health concerns to safety issues. It's one of the biggest elections in a generation. Turn to the people you know and trust. News4Jax, the local station.
Parents, we get it. You have a lot of questions. At News4Jax, we're working every day to get you the most up-to-date school news. Dedicated reporters working for you, collecting critical information you need to know to navigate back to school. Asking medical experts how to keep kids healthy in the classroom and on the field. Getting answers to your questions from every school leader in every local county. Watch Facing the Fall every day. The morning show on Channel 4, the local station.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues, we have the latest details on how to keep you safe, answering your questions, giving you all the facts and information you can depend on. The Dr. Oz Show, your trusted coronavirus headquarters.
Monday at 10 on Channel 4, the local station. Your go-to weather app just got 100 times better. The new Weather Authority app. Everything you need to know right on the homepage from the team you know and trust.
And easy-to-read radar with custom layers and one-tap storm tracking.
Personalized weather alerts when and where you need them the most.
And now it's easier than ever to find important storm pins near you.
No clutter, no clicking around. Just your forecast fast. Download the new Weather Authority app today. Just search for News4Jax in your app store. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
School districts across Florida are trying to figure out how they go back to school in the fall, right? Duval County had a plan for each grade level where some students would return full-time to in-person, on-campus learning. Older students would not. And then the state announced that every school must be open to students 5 days a week when the fall semester begins. I spoke with St. Johns County School Board Chair Beverly Slough this week about how the state's #1 district is adjusting to the surprise order.
It was difficult because we had been working desperately for 2 months trying to craft a plan that would be the most beneficial to our students, both in terms of their education and their safety. And we were just about to launch it yesterday in an official way. And then on Monday, we got that emergency order that is requiring us to totally revamp what we were doing.
How hard is it to make those changes? Because clearly we're not that far away from schools opening for the fall.
That's true. Our teachers come back in about 3.5 weeks. So it's really difficult. Parents, we had shared the draft of our plan, and we had, where we were in process, parents were choosing what they wanted for their students, whether to come back to brick and mortar, whether to take a 9 weeks online in association with our school district, whether to go fully virtual. But when this order came, it really disrupted everything. So now we're having to go back, examine everything we've done, and see how it can fit into the new requirements.
There's an in the classroom kind of concern. I've also heard people talking about, hey, just the transportation is going to be a huge issue. What are some of the big challenges for the school district?
Well, transportation, as you know, is not fully funded. It's only funded at about 60% on a good day. If we were try to make accommodations to socially distance on our buses, it would cost us an exponential amount of money. We transport about 60 kids on a bus in the morning, but if we were to have to make accommodations for social distancing, those numbers of students would be cut in half, which would require many more buses, many more drivers, double runs, all kinds of things. So we have made the decision not to do that, but rather to require masks on the bus.
And there's a certain element that makes sense where parents or teachers or administrators are saying, how realistic is it, especially for the younger kids, to keep that mask on or to get it on in the first place, right?
Well, you know what, parents, yesterday, on Tuesday, we had a board meeting, and then we allowed parents to call in and make comment, and we're grateful for all of that. Many of them said it's a function of expectation, that just like walking in a line is an expectation. If the child is expected to wear his mask on the bus, he'll wear his mask on the bus. So it will be a sort of a work in progress in order to get compliance with kids in that way. But for their safety, it's worth the effort.
Yeah. In general, how do you feel about what the state has done, whether it's the Department of Education or other leaders, to try and manage this pandemic and all the different factors of it, especially when it comes to taking care of our kids and the faculty and staff on campuses?
That is a big issue because, as we can see from the data, kids don't tend to get as sick as adults if they contract the virus. So I think the state is just, rightly so, of the belief that kids are learning the best when they're in a classroom in front of a good teacher. However, that good teacher has to feel confident that she is safe or he is safe. And even if it's a younger person, that they won't take something home to maybe an elderly parent. So a lot of moving parts involved in it. And we as a district have to provide the detail to accomplish the overarching goals of the state. Just to be truthful, I and all my colleagues want nothing more than have our kids inside under the roof in front of their teachers every day. But on the flip of it, we want to keep them safe.
And St. Johns County School Superintendent Tim Forson had told us that he was ready Tuesday morning to present a detailed reopening plan to the school board. He decided it would be unwise to move forward with that and immediately went to work trying to reconfigure the district's plan. To keep up to date with our students and the return to school as we grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic, go to newsforjax.com/newsletters, and there you're going to be able to sign up for our Facing the Fall newsletter. Why is that important? Well, we'll keep you up to date on the decisions being made by the school districts in Northeast Florida and in Southeast Georgia. All of this in our Facing the Fall newsletters. We want you to be informed and ready for what happens with those students. All right, dozens of local races across Northeast Florida heat up this summer. Just ahead, a look at one of the counties that could see massive change in leadership. Plus, former Atlantic Beach Police Chief Michelle Cook joins us. That's next on This Week in Jacksonville.
For 45 years, Affordable Dentures and Implants has created affordable access to dental care.
And we're proud to have helped millions of people improve their smiles.
Our number one priority is always being the health and the well-being of our patients and staff.
So, we're taking extra precautions to welcome you to a safe and clean environment.
Because we want you to go ahead and smile.
Affordable Dentures and Implants. We can't wait to see you.
Republican Rob Hardwick is the leader we need as St. Johns County Sheriff. A combat veteran with 25 years in the Army and as a law enforcement officer, Rob Hardwick has spent his life defending the Constitution and serving us. Rob knows our community and shares our values. Rob Hardwick is ready to lead and will ensure we keep St. Johns County safe and is the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Republican Rob Hardwick is the conservative leader we can trust.
Constant hand washing causes hands to dry and crack. Try O'Keefe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 hand cream for guaranteed relief of dry, cracked hands. Also available in O'Keefe's for healthy feet. Guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked feet.
I got your back, you got mine. Think about you all the time. Together we can come through. That's what love's made of.
When it's made with love, it's made to be shared.
If you've been injured by a semi-truck, don't let the insurance company play around with your future. Farrah and Farrah specializes in truck accidents. Call us. Talk to us.
Need a floor that can handle this? Then come to the Floor Trader. You'll find the latest styles that are pet-proof, waterproof, and, well, sled-proof. Plus, everything's in stock and ready to go, so you can take it home the very same day. Shop now and save up to 50% on the best selection of hardwood, carpet, luxury vinyl, and more. Plus, no interest monthly financing. Sale ends soon, so hurry in today.
Floor Trader, the money saver.
When there's hope. When you soar. When you help. There's only one news team you can count on to cover the stories that lift you up. Anchors and reporters who put you first, making it worth your time to watch every day. When you want a news team who understands why local is what matters most, watch News 4 Jax every night starting at 5, the local station.
How's the nursery?
The nursery's doing well. We're staying very busy.
You really key on that 7-day this time of the year especially.
It helps you plan your work schedule and everything else. So weather's critical to us.
Why do you trust the Weather Authority?
First of all, we watch the other weather channels too, but y'all seem to be the best.
Thank you.
We just trust y'all more than anyone else.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
There are lots of politics to talk about during a presidential election year for sure. And with a national party convention coming to our area, local races may be getting lost. Clay County Commissioner Mike Cella says there's a lot to pay attention to with a dozen races and 37 candidates.
It's going to take our voters a little bit to sort through all the candidates to find out who they'd like to vote for and what candidate sort of represents their thought process on various issues.
The Clay County Republican Club planned to host 2 candidate forums at cost, and the pandemic forced them to cancel those plans. One of the biggest races in local counties is for sheriff in Clay County. Michelle Cook is joining us now. One of 7 candidates, if you include a recent write-in. Former police chief in Atlantic Beach. You worked a long time with JSO.
Yes, sir.
Why are you running for sheriff in Clay?
Great question. So Clay County is my home. I was born and raised in Clay County, went to Clay County schools. All of my family lives in Clay County, and interestingly enough, when I wanted to go into law enforcement back in the early 90s, the Clay County Sheriff's Office would not allow women to ride on the street. And I really wanted to serve at the street level. So came into Jacksonville and got a job. So this opportunity to go home and serve my home county is just something I couldn't pass up.
It's interesting. Tell us a little bit about the experience you had working in the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and then more recently as the chief there in Atlantic Beach.
Sure. So, I started at JSO in 1992 on the street, was a street cop, worked my way up under 4 different sheriffs. I had McMillan, Glover, Rutherford, and Sheriff Williams. Worked my way up the ranks, promoted my way up the ranks, and retired from JSO 3 years ago as the director of operations. So when I retired, I was the number 3 person. And JSO is the 25th largest agency in the country. I had over 1,000 officers, deputies that worked for me, $100 million budget under my command, all the special events that occur in Duval County, community affairs, all of that fell under my command at JSO. Retired from there and then was contacted by some folks out in Atlantic Beach. So it was really neat to go out and be the chief of police, to be the chief law enforcement officer. So I took everything that I had learned under, McMillan, Glover, Rutherford, and Williams, and was able to develop my own plan at the beach, execute my own strategies, my own vision. And interestingly enough, Atlantic Beach earlier this year was named the safest city in Northeast Florida. So just really proud of the work I was able to do out there.
Well, help us understand how it's different in a smaller community or in a police department like that versus what would be the entire Clay County law enforcement system right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences. You've got resources, you've got sheer, a size of the community, you've got expectations, you've got responsibilities. In Atlantic Beach, although we were a full-service police department, we did not have corrections under our purview. So, the county obviously has the additional responsibility of the correctional institutions, and that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about what's been happening here nationally. We've seen civil unrest, we've seen demonstrations and so on. How would you handle that if you're the sheriff in Clay County and there are protest demonstrations, maybe even violence associated with that?
Right. I've handled that. When I was at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, probably about the last 10 or 15 years, a very large number of the protests that occurred in Jacksonville came under my purview, under my command. So, it's about working. First of all, you work with the organizers, okay? You explain the rules, explain the law. You tell them the rules and the law. You tell them the consequences of not following the rules and the law. And then you tell them again, and then you tell them again. And so there's ongoing communication. And then, quite frankly, once the law is broken, you have to have a swift and efficient and immediate response of making sure that those law violators are scooped up quickly and removed from the scene. I believe in the Constitution, okay? You have an absolute right to free speech. But at the same time, you cannot cross that line where it's impacting the entire community because of looting or rioting. That's where you have to draw the line. So I've been there and I've done that effectively. In fact, I oversaw the Occupy Jacksonville protest that happened in Duval County. It was a good 14, 16-month protest that happened right at the steps of City Hall, and that was my responsibility to oversee that for the better than a year.
And just in the last few years.
Just in the last few years. And, Jacksonville, Duval County was one of the, just a handful of counties across the country that did not get sued because of our efforts during the Occupy Jacksonville. And again, it was my understanding of the law, the building of the relationships, and then holding those that cross the line accountable quickly and efficiently.
Chief, I hate to squeeze you on time, but a minute or less. What do you feel about the folks who are saying, hey, we need police reform? They certainly mean at every level when it comes to law enforcement. Do policing agencies like the sheriff's office need reform?
I think any industry that is as important as law enforcement, if you're not constantly looking at what you're doing and how you can get better, then you fall behind. So, policing, that's law and order. That has to be law and order. But at the same time, as an industry, we have to constantly be evaluating ourselves. How can we do better? Is it better training? Is it better technology? Is it, what can we do to better serve our community?
I appreciate it. I know that there's a lot of folks who are running for this specific role, and I appreciate hearing your thoughts on it today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kent.
So I've been in touch with most of the candidates for sheriff and Clay, and we are working to bring you their comments on our show before the primary vote. When is that primary vote? Primaries in Florida come up August 18th, and so we'll be working in the coming weeks to get you more information on the candidates in these most important races. This Week in Jacksonville is airing each Sunday morning at this time. We appreciate you watching today. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air on Channel 4 and CW17 and online at news4jax.com.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.